Hello there. So today I'm going to take you through the beef protocol. And the very first thing we do with the beef protocol is we give our thanks to the spirits of the cow, because the cow is a very giving, loving animal. And this beautiful animal also lives in the law of allowing, which I will explain in a completely separate film because it's so important to understand. So before we go, let's just remind ourselves this is life we're living on this planet. It's all a game. And let's also remember that we're all loved. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put my digital scale on. I've got myself a little container. And I'm going to, of course, my hands have been thoroughly washed before I start. All the equipment has been thoroughly washed before and afterwards. I'll get myself a lump out and I'll put it down there, and it's a little bit more than I want, so let's just knock it down to a little bit less still. There we go, just over 60 grams. So 60 grams of beef. What I would do is I would roll it like this. It's quite handy to have a flat knife, but you don't have to. And just squish it down to what some people call a burger or a patty. Now when you begin this protocol, that is the amount you want to start with. Start with 60 grams. Well, I haven't just started this protocol, so I'm going to do myself a triple. So start with 60 grams per meal, build up to 120, and if that's fine, okay. If it's not, then go up to 180. So the way it works with this is very simple. Recognizing that most people in Britain are chronically nutritionally deficient, especially anyone who's been a vegetarian, like I had for such a long time, or a vegan, plant-based alkaline diet, very likely to be suffering from a whole raft of nutritional deficiencies. So see my theory film about all the information. I'm just going to focus on the practical today. So there I've got myself 3 little beef patties. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to flame on. And I'm going to fry these beef patties in ghee. So I invite you to look at the separate film about how to make your own ghee, which will explain why it would be a really good idea to make your own ghee, which you do from getting butter. And of course, this is 2025, January. So I've got my butter from a local producer. I take my advice from my very friendly and extremely knowledgeable and wise butcher, Paul. Get it from a local producer. It doesn't come through the Arla system. It won't have any bovine in it. Bovine is what they give cows in the big business companies to stop them from, yes, remember I said life's a game, stop them from farting. Yes, okay, so moving on rapidly from that, more in the theory film. So I'm going to put myself 1 single spoonful be enough. I'm going to turn my heat down now, as low as I can. So if I was having 1 or 2 patties, that would be it. I've got 3, so I'll give it a little bit more. And the other thing I need to do, I need to get a lid. Everyone's different about this, but my personal preference is it's a lot less messy if you have a lid. So what I'll do now is I'll add the beef patties to the hot ghee in the pan. If your device isn't completely level, you might tip it, make sure they're all getting the ghee underneath them. So ghee is an absolutely miraculous food that balances the beef. So you can use lard, any of the traditional animal fats for frying, but ghee is just so much better. And I've got here some of the Celtic sea salt, which contains more than 80 powerfully nutritionally beneficial minerals. And I've just sprinkled a bit on top, and I can now put my lid on and let it do its thing. So I'm going to give it not very long actually, probably a minute, maybe a little bit more than that, and I'm going to start to turn them, and then I will, once they've been fried on both sides, what I'm going to do is I'm going to break the patties up. So the main reason to make the patties is it keeps it simple, and when it comes to freezing them, you can freeze them in units of 1, 2 or 3, whatever you like, and pull the ones you want out of the freezer and you're ready to go. So here's the thing, either you can take them out say an hour beforehand and let them warm through a bit, in which case they're obviously going to cook a little bit quicker, or you can cook them straight from frozen. Now the point about this beef protocol is this has been designed, and this is a protocol that actually comes from India, and it's a combination of my very good friend Ahmed and his absolutely wonderful masseur Gopi, and the two together came up with this system, which I've adapted slightly. So I should imagine we might be getting to the point we might be ready. Let's have a look. So if I put the glove on, that will enable you to see what's going on. So you can see browning on the bottom and pinked on the top. So it's time now to turn the patties. Now sometimes it's enough to use a little, the spatula is fine, flip them over just like that. If they're a bit sticky I might use the bone handled knife, but I didn't need to. So we're on there, we're turning them over like that. We're going to give them at least another minute. And when this phase is completed, we'll be able to move into the final phase. So as I was just about to say, the whole point about this beef protocol is it's something that it takes up the smallest amount of time. So someone who's got very little time, this is for you. Someone's got nutritional deficiencies, this is for you. And one of the confirmatory evidences that I have from my background as a health counsellor going back many years is that so many people have approached me with nutritional deficiencies, and many of them were vegans and vegetarians, and I would often look and do my research, and it's like it didn't matter what substance, mineral, whatever it was they were deficient in, every time when I came to look, beef was at the top of the list. And of course almost all the people I was working with weren't able to do that because they had a belief system which they would have violated. So I had to come up with other solutions for them. Well, we've gone beyond all that now. We're saying this is the step that needs to be taken. Health comes first, and gratitude to the animals that provide this, the cows. So now it's been done on both sides. So what I'm going to do, you could just use a fork, but I've just managed to wedge my chopstick in a place where I can't reach it very easily, just to add a little extra entertainment to the film. So here we are. So now I've got my chopsticks and I've got my good old-fashioned bone handle knife. I'm literally just going to cut it up, and when I cut it up like this I can see that the interior is still pink. So my suggestion is, if you're completely new to this, each meal, 3 meals a day, have one of these patties. Then build up to 2. And this is why I'm attempting to explain to you, so I'm going to do it now. The idea of this particular protocol is you eat until you feel satisfied. We're not doing any starvation, we're not doing any creating horrible griping pains in the gut, which is what happens to so many people in so much of their lives, that they get so hungry because they neglect their basic needs. It's ultimately lack of self-love, which is why I held up a little piece of paper with the "Know You're Loved," because the cows love us, and they're actually a stand for us to improve our situation nutritionally so that we're living proper lives, fully function. So I've just given this a really good cut up like that, And I'm going to put that lid on again. And I'll probably give it a bit of a poke through in another minute's time, something like that. And when it's all brown, that means it's ready. So here's the startling thing. Everyone knows how much I love kimchi and how amazing it is for the microbiome. It turns out that the beef is even better by a huge magnitude. So this is like ultimate microbiome treats time. Well, you can tell that because of what happens to the body. And one of the things that I'm going to say is if you build yourself up to the amount of beef that gives you that feeling of satisfaction, and you eat 3 meals a day, and you do this for 72 hours, 3 days, so you've built yourself up, you've built yourself up to the amount of beef that you can happily tolerate that makes you satisfied. 3 meals a day, 3 days, and notice what symptoms, what body symptoms, what mental symptoms, what emotional symptoms that you might not have been fully aware of have just simply disappeared. And this is why I'm an absolute convert to this, because I was not fully aware. I was head in the sand. I had so many symptoms, physical, emotional and mental. And when I did this, they all disappeared within 48 hours. So I'm suggesting you do the 72-hour challenge. Belt and braces, let's really go for it. And I'm going to show you now, so you can see what it looks like at this stage. Here comes the glove. Now just look at that. It's completely browned. And there's a liquid there, and that liquid there is some of the water that's come out of the beef and the ghee and the salt. So you have got a powerhouse in nutrition. So I'm going to turn the heat off. Now I wasn't going to do this, but I will do this. So I'm going to put it here. I have to be careful not to burn myself when I do this. And more belt and brace, I'll make sure I don't drop any on the floor. It's far too precious and valuable for that. The taste, the flavour, the texture. When your body tunes in, because this is my first beef today, late breakfast, been doing a few other things. Oh my goodness me. And that is what the correct nutrition feels like. All the nutrients my body might have been becoming a little bit deficient on, and all being rectified as I eat. And you'll discover there's a body that is completely satisfied with all its nutritional needs. There's a completely different experience of being alive. So there's a glass here. The water story is as follows. With all dietary things, it's better not to drink while you're eating. But when you come to beef, if you do really need to drink a little while after you've eaten, it's okay. That doesn't apply to plant food. It's a really good idea to give yourself at least an hour after eating, ideally 2 before drinking. It doesn't apply in the same rigid way with this particular diet. So if you excuse me, I'm going to sit down and eat the rest of it. All the love to you.